Kevin, how you doing, bud? Sorry, got food plot questions coming in. Who else is out there tonight? We had a little technical difficulties there for a minute. I didn't think it was going to let me hop on here, but finally Meta let me do it. Glad to hear that, Kevin. Glad you're doing well, man. Old Scott, good to see you on here, bud. Good old Anthony. How you doing, Bubba? Old turkey slayer himself, old Anthony. Yeah, a few more to jump on here. I had her all fired up early. I don't know how many of you got on the first one, but old Restream would not let it fire up. So I had to get out of everything, get back in it, and then it worked fine. So, and it could be me too, because you know how I am, especially when it comes to electronics. Mike, good to see you on here, bud. We got an easy one to talk about tonight, so I hope you guys got some questions. If not, it's going to be a short little podcast. I'm telling you right now, there ain't much about shield and barrier. Got guys blowing my phone up with food plot questions right now. I'm going to turn this thing off and deal with them when I get off here. It's a beautiful night. I wouldn't be upset if nobody jumped on here tonight, because if it's nice as it is here where you're at, holy cow, it's beautiful out. I've been around spraying weeds and everything else around the yard and the back lot and all over the place, and I looked down and it was 6:50. I'm like, oh my. So it was a hurry up and get down here trip. Yeah, I hear you. I hear you, Scott. Somebody said I had to finish the dishes and get a pie in the oven. Well, I'll tell you what, I didn't do that, but I did bring the laundry down when I got home and put the first load in for her. So I think I'm a little ahead of the game. If I come down and put it in the dryer, I'd be even better, but I don't know if that's going to happen. Well, let's just fire this thing off. Some other people join in, they can join in. If not, we'll be done pretty quick. Again, when it comes to shield and bedding, there's not a lot to it, but there is. I mean, there's a science to it like anything else that we do. I mean, from the pH levels, the planting, the ground temp, sunny areas, wet areas, it all kind of goes in there hand in hand with food plotting. But when it comes to shield and bedding, a lot of people look at, when we first started running a shield and bedding probably 18, 19 years ago, it was a perennial variety called shield and bedding, lifetime plant. But as the years progressed, so did the price. So it just got to one of them things that kind of priced itself out for a small bag. Looking at a quarter-acre bag like our barricade, which is an annual, that shield and bedding would have cost you $150. Now, don't get me wrong, it is a lifetime plant. So if you know that's where you want it at, money well spent. But if it's something that you thought you might want to move around, you don't want to do that just because it is a perennial and you're going to spend a bunch of money doing it. So that's where the annuals come in very nice, especially for the deer hunting part of it. Now, if I was going to get out and have an area that I'm going to block and I want it blocked from here on out, I'm definitely going to go with a perennial. Now, when you go to a perennial, a lot of people think they look at switchgrass. Switchgrass is just not strong enough all by itself. So like when we had ours, you take a switchgrass, you take Indian grass, and you take blue stem. You take them three, get the percentage of each one of them right, mix them together, and it is a very strong plant. Now with the perennials, you usually start up the first year 1.5 feet, 2 foot. The next year you get up there 3 to 4 foot, and then that third year is when it really just grows up to your 6 to 8 foot tall, and that's where it's at. Throughout the year you can, or the years, you can mow it down, you can burn it. You always want to do that every so often after it gets matured out. It's just healthier for the plant, or plants, and that one, there's 3 of them. But with us, we're dealing with an annual now called Barricade, which most of you already know that. It's for the price point of $20 for a 1/4 acre. You're looking at a 6 foot wide strip, a 1/4 mile long. You can't beat it for $20, and you can afford to till it under next year and put it somewhere else if you want to, or till it under and plant it right back where it's at, because you had such good success from either getting the deer into that way or blocking your area, where you can get to and from your stand easier, your deer blind. One of my favorite things is to plant it in front of a deer blind, where I can sneak into that blind. I can crawl up the ladder. The deer have no clue I'm there. One of my favorite things to do. Another thing is in the big open fields is blocking off plots. I do it a lot on my power lines, and because I run a power line from the north side of my property all the way to the south. I got a creek in between it, and it kind of goes, it's a flat area. It dips down into a bottom into the creek, then comes back up, and then the plot continues going on. The north and south elevation wise are the same, but they got the big dip. Well, what I had found over the years is, and I never would pay to have switchgrass put in there, which I should have. But when the Barricade came out, I started trying it. And what I like is I can plant that on the back side of my north plot, on the south side of my north plot. And I can also do that on the south side or the north side of my south plot. But I usually just run it on the south side of my north plot. So all the deer that come from their bedding area, come across the field, come into the food plots to feed at night, them bucks can't look across there and see, especially because it's an area that I can only hunt certain winds with. I'm usually hunting the south side of the property, but every once in a while I get that east wind that I need to be over in that north plot. So I love it for making the buck come there to see what's there. If he can stand over in that south plot and look to the north and not see any deer there, he's not going to come over there. You can grunt, you can rattle, you can do whatever you want, all you want. Very unlikely he's going to come over there. And about like a turkey, calling a turkey without a decoy. Very hard to get one to come in and get into your lap, just because there's nothing visual for him to see. So how many times have you watched an old buck walk to the edge of the woods and you're like, oh, here he is. And he stands there and he looks back and forth, don't see anything. Or he'll stand there all the way till dark and then step out right before dark, and then it's too late. So I like blocking them areas off with the Barricade, so them deer have to come and investigate whatever they're hearing, smelling, using sense, whatever you guys use. It works very, very well on something like that. So a bedding area, what I like doing with a bedding area, when you plant it for a shield to get to and from, or a funnel, you're going to plant it a normal planting and set that cedar light, just walk with it, seed it real nice, be done. We'll talk about that here shortly. But when you're doing it with a bedding, I like running it really, really thin. I don't want it real thick. I want to run that very thin, where this is stalks all over the place, but it's open for them to get into. Now, a deer is going to get into it if they want to. But if you ever run the Barricade and notice when it's so thick, they usually skirt around it. They won't go in it because they need an entrance and an exit. So when it's more open, I have better luck with that Barricade, planted a lot thinner and just more open area for them to get through. But what I'll also do is I'll pick where I want them to bed at. And what I'll normally do is I'll get in there and I'll make me a path. And what I use is I got the 30-inch DR walk behind mower, the little bush hog, and I'll cut me a 2 foot wide path in through, zigzag it through. I'll step off and knock a bunch of stalks down here and there, certain areas, but I always cut them an exit. The deer love an entrance and an exit. A lot of times, if you don't give an exit, they will not stay in it or go in it because they want to feel safe, and they're going to go with the least resistance. So if they have that path and they get used to that path, they stay in there more often. So with the bedding area, like I said, thinner planting, make them their own little bedding area inside there, knock some down, make it look like a deer is living in there, give them an entrance and exit. So that works very well. But let's kind of get to let's get to planning on this stuff, which is very crucial because I get calls on it every year that it didn't grow up for them. And 99% of the reason, besides Mother Nature, is they plant way too late. It does say on the bag you can plant up to August, but if you look at your planting areas, like on our website or even on the bag, it'll show you the different regions. So you're not going to be wanting to plant this in August, and even in Illinois where I'm at, you don't want to be planting it up north. You want to get this stuff in as soon as that ground temp hits about 60 degrees. You start seeing them farmers hit the field, especially with beans, you know you're right on the money. So get it planted as soon as you can, because it's a very, very slow growing first process until it about gets that third leaf on it. It gets that third leaf on it, then it starts growing a lot more and a lot faster. It's one of the deals that you go back every week and you're blown away on how tall it's got. But it might take a month and a half to get it 8 inches out of the ground. It's just a very slow growing plant. So little trick to trade that I have found, and I tested it a couple of years ago. I may have said it on here. I don't know if I have or not. I keep giving away all my secrets. What I do with our barricade is I actually mix cereal rye with it. The reason I mix cereal rye with it is cereal rye will pull nitrogen from a very deep root system up to the surface. Barricade loves nitrogen. They love it. So the cereal rye helps kind of keep the deer off of it because they're going to eat that cereal rye because it's going to grow so much faster. But it's also going to be a soil builder for you and feed that barricade. You still want to put the nitrogen on. These plants, this sorghum loves nitrogen. You got to pour the nitrogen to them. If you don't, they're not going to perform. It's not a mix you're going to go out there and throw down, not put the fertilizer on, and it's going to grow great. It will not work that way. It needs a very good sun. It needs to be planted at least a ½ inch deep, and it needs a lot of nitrogen. So if you can give them that three things, your money. Now, with me on the back to the power line deal, what I have seen, and a lot of people shy away from using it on a power line just because of the shaded areas. But and truthfully too, when you get around a lot of trees, the trees draw so much moisture away from these plants that you never get the growth out of them. So trees full of moisture and being shaded because you're trying to plant in the woods is not a very good area. Planting in the woods just does not work very well at all because you don't get enough sun. The trees pull all the moisture away. But with me on the power lines, how my lines run north and south, I get a good amount of sun twice a day. So I'll have good full growth in the center of my power lines where I want it. And then when it gets closer to the edge of the trees, it just kind of just tapers down like you cut it with a knife. Still works out very well. I'll have 14 foot, 12 foot, 14 foot of growth. Depends on how much rain Mother Nature gives me that year. And I pour the jolt fertilizer to it. I'll have up to 14 foot of growth. And then on the sides, I'll be tapered down to about 6 to 5 foot on the edge of the woods. So still good enough for what I want it to do. So don't be afraid to try it in an area where you're kind of limited on sun, but you have to have some sun to that too. So if it's going to be shaded, don't try it. You're just going to waste your money. I don't want you buying something that's not going to perform for you. But getting back to like me saying the jolt fertilizer. Sorry guys, I got the neck all messed up, pinched an nerve in the neck. The jolt fertilizer is another one that is perfect for the barricade. You guys heard me say it before, and I'll say it again. The best thing I ever bought was one of the boomless sprayers. And if you're not familiar with the boomless sprayer, a boomless sprayer goes on back of my ATC, ATV, whichever one I put on, or the side-by-side. It's just got a single rod that comes off the tank, and one tip that will actually spray anywhere from 8 foot to 16 foot wide, depending on how you adjust it. But what you can do with that is you can turn that rod and spray a fan out sideways. So when I run my barricade where I can get on both sides of it, I will run my ATV down both sides of it, and I'll just fan that barricade over it, and it'll spray up and top it over, and it'll come down on it. I'll just spray it, I'll coat it. And I'll do that every other week, twice a month. You just never know. It just depends on what Mother Nature is giving me, but I will coat it with that jolt. I don't have to worry about burning it, and it gives it a lot of good nutrition. So it very well needs that nutrients in there. So it works very well. But key thing is, again, besides the nitrogen, make sure that you get this in the soil. Get these seeds at least a ½ inch deep. You can get down there to 3/4 of an inch, but at least get them in there about a ½ inch. You lay them on the top, they're not going to get the germination that you should, and you're not going to be happy, number one. But it'll give the turkeys a lot of seeds to eat. So, and any of the birds. But at least try to get that down about a ½ inch in the ground. But it'll work out very well for you. Again, it is an annual, not a perennial. Never know. We might work on another perennial mix. It's just the bad thing about it is the cost. The cost is just outrageous for the select few that would want it. There's a lot more that don't want to spend that kind of money. They'd rather plant it every year. I'm actually one of them. I actually enjoy planting it. I enjoy it. There's not one year, except for my power line areas, my funnels, and how I get to and from the blind. There hasn't been 1 year in 5 years that I haven't changed something with it. I've changed the route every time. I'll sit in there during the hunting season and watch what these deer are doing and think, I got to put notes on my phone because I got to get this barricade over here, get them deer to swing around this way. They're cutting around me the backside because I'm up in a blind. I can actually see over it and see what they're doing. So very, very inexpensive way to change a deer's pattern by a simple planning. So, but again, get this stuff in earlier than later. I try to tell everybody, treat it like, no matter where you're at, treat it like a spring planting a clover. You know, like in my area in Illinois, I know that I don't want to plant clover anytime after June 1st for a spring planting. If I can't make that June 1st deadline, I am going to skip them hot months of the year. I'm going to get later in August, and then I'm going to plant it, knowing I'm not going to have that good of growth that first season, but it'd be getting established for the next year. So if I can't plant the barricade, for some reason I'm busy, like this year I'm just swamped. I can't get it planted, and June 1st hits me, I'm not planting it. It won't get planted till next year. Luckily this year I've already got it planted, but just kind of treat it as a spring clover planting. You guys pretty much know your area. You know when you should plant and when you shouldn't plant. But if you can always plant it earlier as soon as that ground temp hits 60 degrees. Do not plant it before that. Don't plant it. Don't frost seed it. Don't think you can plant it and wait for the ground temp to warm up. Wait till that ground temp hits that 60 degrees, a pretty good constant 60-degree ground temp, and that's all you need. And for the ground temp, you don't have to have nothing fancy. Do like I do. Go to my wife's kitchen cabinet, grab one of them meat thermometers, go out there and stick it in the ground. Wipe it off, put it back in the counter. She never knows. So that's the easiest way to do it. So well, let's see what we got here, guys. I know I'm just rambling on. Old Kevin saying it's rainy and chilly. It has been here. It's been raining a lot. It got chilly the last couple of days, but it jumped right back there almost to 80 again today. BGJ, Bob, and JC all said hi, said hi and got a package today. Good deal, John. I was just telling Stacy you should be getting your package. Hope your girls are doing good. And I'll actually see you guys this weekend if you're around. Jason, good to see you on here, bud. Jason got his planted last week. Perfect. Mike's asking, so do you drill to go to that half inch? If you can drill, it's even better. But no, I usually just judge my soil. I'll see how, with me, I'm tilling or disking, call the packing, and call the packing again. It's just kind of how do I want to say this? I've done it for so long that I kind of get the feel of the dirt. So if I see what it looks like when I just did it here recently, it was more on the damp side. So instead of the soil was on the damp side, so I actually used a tiller. So what I actually did, I did not call the pack first because I wanted to push that seed in. Now, if it was more powdery, I would have played around with it a little bit and seen what I'll normally do is I'll run a call the packer over it, and then I will broadcast some seed, and I'll run the call the packer a short little distance over it. I'll get out, I'll kind of check my seeds and see how deep they are. If they're not deep enough, I'll hit it one more time. I'm usually using a disc instead of a tiller, but this time I use tiller. But I'll take the disc and lightly go over it, and then what I'll normally do is it breaks it up even finer. I'll call the packet, I'll seed it, and then I'll take a harrow section that I got, a 5-foot harrow section. I'll turn it upside down and I'll drag it, and that will help cover some of that up. But I'm only dragging it on a compacted soil. If I didn't compact that soil first, I'll just roll them under deeper in heck, and you don't want to do that. So it really just depends on the feel of your soil, how heavy your call the packer is, if you have one, if you're using a roller, even if you're using a still rake it over top of it. If you're going through there in an area, all you got in there is just a still rake, just cover it with that still rake. Just keep working it back and forth and covering it. Any way that you can get that seed covered up like that works out good. The harrow section works very good. Piece of chain link fence like I used for many, many years. I had a piece of chain link fence that I had an old 6x6 hooked to the back of it and strapped to it for a little bit of weight. And that chain link fence would just run over that ground and just cover them seeds up. Works very good. The barricade is the only thing I use stuff like that for anymore. All my other seeds for planting, stuff like that, I don't drag anything over them. But the barricade I do because I want to get it deeper. And I shouldn't say that. My soybeans and peas are red zone variety. I'll do the same thing with it too, because you need to get them at least ½ inch as well. So, but the small seeds, normally I would not do that, but with the barricade, you definitely need to. Jeff, I don't know if he was on here when I was talking about earlier, but a ½ inch is ½ inch to 3/4 of an inch is where you want to go with that barricade for pretty much optimal results of germination, depending on what Mother Nature throws your way. Right now, we're getting so much rain. It's crazy. So, Scott, what was the chemical that you turned me on to last year? I can't remember the name of it. I got it and bought from a co-op. It burned down everything. It should have been Liberty, bud. If you're doing a complete burn down, like before planting, it should have been Liberty, because that's all I use anymore. Mark Coleman, good evening, bud. But you do not want to use Liberty on an existing plot because it'll kill everything dead, including multiflora rows and everything else. Make sure I'm not missing anybody here, guys. No, I think I got all of you. Mark Coleman, how you doing, bud? Look like you've been tearing the mushrooms up. Yep, Scott, Liberty, that. Yeah, absolutely. Yes, you can use it around the driveway, anything like that. Yeah, it's pretty much Roundup, which is glyphosate, pretty much that on major steroids. So, but guys, there ain't much to talk about anymore about this barricade. What 21 pounds of mushrooms this year. Mark, that's ridiculous. They're good for you, man. But like I was saying, guys, there ain't a lot to it. And I know I've talked for a half an hour about it, but there ain't a whole lot about it. It loves sun. It doesn't like real high moisture, as in wet, flooded areas. It loves nitrogen. Plant it as soon as you can after that ground temp hits 60 degrees. Again, it loves nitrogen. I'm telling you right now, it loves nitrogen. And if I don't think I have it on here, I should have put it on here. But actually, my buddy John, my brother from Southern Illinois down there, man, I don't have it on here. He hammered his with it last year, and I'm telling you what, it's 6 foot over top of my head, and I'm 6 foot, well, almost 6'4", right at 6'4". I mean, it just blew me away. But, you know, you look at something like this, just a normal, just a good stand of barricade, very good stand, pouring the nitrogen to it. And what a lot of people talk about, let me see what we got here. Yeah, they're blocking the road there. That's actually at my best friend Eric's house, blocking the road to his clover. But what a lot of people talk about, like this field right, this barricade right here is this picture, kind of a tattletale sign here. You get a lot of people talking, which is funny because one of them is a competitor of ours that talks so much smack about annual beddings with sorghum. And I just seen 3 weeks ago that he brought out his own. Maybe there was more to it than what he thought. So, not mentioning no names, but the biggest thing he always talked about was, why use an annual? It doesn't winter. It just lays down flat before season's over with. Don't do this, don't do that. Well, I know I've seen this plot here, with my own 2 eyes. I took the pictures. And then you're thinking South Central Illinois, full of agriculture. It's so flat you can watch your dog run away for 3 days. So the wind just comes howling through. This is running east and west, so it's getting them north winds hard in the wintertime. Snow, ice, and come April the next year, as you can see, the clover is greening up. Now, is it 9, 10, 12 foot tall? No, but it's still thick. It's still doing its job, especially for blocking the road. It will stand up good. The key thing to that is, though, if you go out and throw barricade on the ground and you don't feed it like you should, the stalks will never get as stout as they should. It's just like feeding us. We got to eat healthy to be healthy. Them plants need to eat, and eat as healthy as you can give it to them. They're going to get stronger. It's more stout. That's why these plants, because I know how much nitrogen that Eric put on this plot, or on this shield. So that's why these stand up so well. You got to maintain these plots. You don't just plant them, throw a little bit of triple 10 down, and just wait for it to get 16 foot tall. It ain't going to happen. You might get 4 or 5 foot out of it. Pour the nitrogen to it. Triple 19. If you're getting plenty of rain, throw some urea down there, some 46%. Make sure you're getting the rain so you don't burn it up. The Jolt fertilizer, feed it with them. The plants will get stiffer, they get more stout, and they will withstand a lot more abuse from Mother Nature, as this picture here will show. And then you got the old trusty Packer Max to put it in with. So, my favorite tool, I'll tell you what, I think I'll sell my old tractor, before I get rid of that. I guarantee I'll sell the tractor before I get rid of the 3-wheeler that's hooked on the front of it. But nope, it's as easy as that, guys. Ain't much to it. Plant at the right time, feed it. It has to be fed, guys. See what we got here. Jeffrey says, how long between spring Liberty? I'm pretty sure you mean spring and Liberty. If you mean spring and Liberty and planting, I'm waiting a minimum of 7 days. Minimum. So I'd rather wait. You get in there to that. If it's cool evenings, cool during the day, early spring when you're trying to kill some stuff off, I'll usually try to wait about 10 days. If you're trying to burn something off in the midsummer to get ready for a fall planting, 7 days is plenty enough time because that just sucks it right in. Oh, sorry, bud. I see you put spraying right down below it. Sorry about that. Oh, Jeff Johnson. I'm going to try to get his in this weekend. Jason's asking if clover fuel is good to spray on it. No, it's not. Clover fuel is a 0028. That is straight potash. You want to give that to all your legume plants, your clovers, your alfalfas, your soybeans, your peas, stuff like that. Any nitrogen-based plant or nitrogen-loving plant, I should say, will not benefit at all, including grasses and weeds will not benefit from potash. So that's why it's so good to put on a legume plot, just because you're feeding that plant and not the grass and weeds, because the grass and weeds are nitrogen lovers. Yes, Mike. So till it back in the spring and plant again. Yes. I know most people aren't comfortable doing it. Most people can't do it, but you can either till it under, disc it under, or burn it. I love burning it because it just is gone. Tilling it under, work it up really good, and it actually put organic matter into the soil as well. It just takes a little longer to get the seed bed ready. Good deal, Scott. Got a good clover plot, almost knee deep. You can't beat that, bud. You're talking my kind of language there when it comes to clover. All right, guys, what else you got? That's pretty much all on Barricade 1-on-1, I'm telling you. Throw me some questions, or we're going to hop off here a little early tonight and go enjoy the beautiful evening. Unless you're where Kevin's at and it's cold. Then you're probably going to sit in the easy chair. Game changer clover, Scott. Yeah, that I'll tell you what. That is probably one of the most sought out mixes because of the shaded areas, but it's at the same time, it's kind of like the underdog because people don't realize, they think, well, it's for a shaded area. You're not going to get that much tonnage out of it. It ain't going to grow that well. It's beautiful. I mean, it offers a lot of tonnage, and the more sun it can get on it, the more tonnage you're going to get. Absolutely, Jeff. Yeah, mowing your barricade right before you till it helps out so much more, chopping that stuff up, because I'll tell you what, if you're running a tiller, you can wind up a tiller in a hurry with all them big old stalks. Dang, Mike, you're wanting me off here already? Come on. I like the way you're thinking, though, but no. Yeah, the sandier soil with rock and everything, it works perfect for that. It loves that sandier soil. That game changer clover does. The only thing we know about the sandy soil, it's like a filter for moisture. So the more organic matter you can work into it, the better off you're going to be. All right, guys. I guess we're going to get off here. Till next time. It'd be 2 weeks. We'll be talking about something, and it's going to be a lot more in depth than what this is. This is pretty simple here, but we're getting some more in depth stuff, and it's about that time. We'll be hunting before you know it. Hell, it's already January, February, March. April. It's already May, so you never know. It's crazy. Turkey season's about over with. Actually, I think ours just ran out. I can't remember. I have to look. I know it's 5th season, or 4th season. No, it runs on a little bit longer, but it's crazy. All right, guys. You guys have a good night. Take care. Thanks for jumping on here, and we will see you here in a couple of weeks. If you need anything, give me a holler. Talk to you soon. Bye.